Hello, my name is Renata von Tscharner and I'm the president of the Charles River Conservancy. And today this is the Parkland show, the Charles River Parkland show. And this is a time when we talk about the parklands and the work of the Conservancy. And you normally, in the beginning of this show, you might see this image, the wonderful ribbon of green from the harbor up to the Watertown Dam. This is the area where the Charles River Conservancy works, and we've been doing so for the last 13 years, starting in 2000, to look at the parklands, to make them more attractive, to make them more active and accessible for all. So where do these parklands stand in terms of the larger Charles River? We see here the whole watershed that goes from the Hopkinton, and if you follow like a fish, it would be over 80 miles to swim, and if you run from Hopkinton, it's 26 miles. And the area that the Conservancy works on is at the very top, the first, or really the last 10 miles of the river. That gives you a sense of the area. Now let's go back to what the Conservancy does. Our mission statement is that Charles River Conservancy is dedicated to the stewardship, renewal and enhancement of the urban parklands along the Charles River for the enjoyment of all. The Conservancy promotes the active use and vitality of the parkland, increases recreational and cultural opportunities, and works to ensure the beauty and integrity of this extraordinary public resource. And the goal really is to create a world-class urban riverfront park enjoyed by all. So that's the mission statement that the Board of Directors has adopted, and that's what we do. Now, how do we accomplish that? There's a lot to do. And we started very early in the existence of the Conservancy. We started by publishing this book, Inventing the Charles River, written by Carl Haglund. We co-published it with the MIT Press. And it tells the story of this amazing invented river and this court of honor. And Carl Haglund did an MIT PhD, and this is really his thesis. And we took this wonderful text, added a lot of images and also contemporary photographs. And so if you want to learn more about the Charles River, this is the place to find out. But what are the programs that the Conservancy does? There are kind of 5 major programs: the Conservancy Volunteers, the Sunday Games, the Swimmable Charles, the Bridge Underpasses, and the Skate Park. So starting with the Conservancy Volunteers, we had about over 20,000 volunteers. You might have seen them along the parklands. You might have seen them gathering here. A lot of freshmen from colleges come and help with us. They also get the orientation as they do so. Or you might have seen our truck or the bags piled up. Or you might have ventured up to the Elliott Bridge and seen this new staircase, which we did in collaboration with the Northeastern students. They did the engineering and they built it. And all our volunteer events are done under the leadership of Danielle Stellig, our volunteer coordinator. And one of the projects that people love working on is daffodil planting, because you plant the daffodils, which is a lot of fun and hard work, and then in the spring you have the result. So this is one of our most popular programs, and we have about 2,000 volunteers, and you can do that either as an individual, or you can come with your company or your church group, with your school. We accept those groups, and you go to our website, thecharles.org, to sign up as a volunteer. Then we also have a program which is called the Sunday Parkland Games. Every Sunday afternoon from 3:30 to 6, you can come to the Memorial Drive near the Weeks Bridge, and games are set up for every age, and they're free. Families come and go. Some families stay for 2 hours and try out every game. Others come for half an hour. They bike here on Memorial Drive and then go on. And here we are. We are grateful to do that together with the DCR, and we get support from the Harvard Business School to do that, and the Cambridge Trust Company. And then later, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, for those who want, they bring their own mat, or we have mats, and then we have a yoga session which is conducted by Karma Yoga. Just a wonderful experience under the trees, looking out onto the water. So here we are at the Weeks Bridge, and I want to mention an event that the Conservancy helped to start, and that's called River Sing. We did it in connection with Revels, and Revels has now this year the 10th anniversary that this happens. So here is River Sing, undertaken by the Conservancy in collaboration with Revels, and now Revels continues to do that. It really started with illuminating the bridges after September 11th, 2001. In December of that same year, we illuminated the bridges to bring light to the Parklands. And that grew into the illumination of the Weeks Bridge, and to make Weeks Bridge the stage for the very first River Sing. Now, River Sing has evolved in many ways, in wonderful ways. It now starts in Winthrop Square, so that's where you would go at 5 o'clock for dancing and merrymaking, and then make your way down to the Parklands. And here you see all the people gathering in the Parklands, and the stage with the singers, the Revel singers. But you do much of the singing. They sing, lead it, but you sing along. And here is Master George Emlyn conducting everybody. And children dance. It's a very happy scene. And you have your own music and you sing along. And as it is getting dark, it becomes kind of mysterious, and you look up the river and you see a boat coming down. It's almost like a ballet on the water. It is a moon and the sun dancing on the water, and you hear the sound of saxophone, Stan Strickland playing, and the people on the shore, that means you, sing back and forth. It's a very magical moment, and you would not want to miss that, as the dance of the sun and the moon is on the river. So it's coming up on September 22nd at the autumnal equinox, 5 o'clock in Harvard Square, and then it starts at 6 p.m. and it's over by 7 p.m. because it gets dark. So it's time to go home and start the fall. And there is a wonderful DVD that Charles Mann has produced of several years of River Sing. So you can get this DVD and experience it. But even better than a DVD is, of course, to go to the river and experience it. So let's go back to the programs of the Charles River Conservancy, the Swimmable Charles initiative. The Swimmable Charles started with a legislative effort that was spearheaded by former state legislator Alice Wolfe and former mayor of Cambridge. And there is now a governor-appointed commission that looks into bringing back swimming. And for 5 years, the Charles River Swimming Club has been holding a swim race. And this July, on the 13th of July 2013, was the first community swim in over 50 years. A very joyous event, considering that swimming was once such an important part. Here we see Magazine Beach, where hundreds, thousands of people used to swim and enjoy the river. But then in the 50s, the beach was closed, no more swimming in the river, and the MDC, which is now the DCR, they built swimming pools. And what we're looking at here is the old bathhouse at Magazine Beach. And there's a very active group under the leadership of Kathy Susie who is working on restoring that bathhouse. First it is to fix the roof, to fix the walls, and to stabilize the building. And we have a lot of help from Patrice Kirsch from DCR and Charlie Sullivan from the Cambridge Historical Commission to make this very important historic building come alive again, and that was once a bathhouse. So this is the swimming effort of the Charles River Conservancy, and we have other programs that might be of interest to you, and all these programs are really here for you to participate in. We are a staff of 5, and we are fortunate to have a lot of interns and co-op students from the colleges around town. But it is really our constituency, our volunteers, that make our work possible, because to make the river attractive, active and accessible for all is a big undertaking, and we need everybody's help. So our next program I would like to talk about is our advocacy work. We see ourselves as the advocates for the Parklands. We often write letters about the state budget, about the environmental bill, about the bottle bill, about projects that happen along the river. And when we heard Mass DOT was to restore the bridges, we said, well, this is the moment to create underpasses. You might know this particular place on River Street where the turnpike comes in and get into Cambridge. There is no crosswalk now, there is no light now. It's a very dangerous intersection. Although the restoration of the bridge will bring a crosswalk and a light, but we think this is not safe enough. It could be much safer, and so we are proposing to improve the use of the pathway. We started to study the pathways about 6 years ago. We helped resurface the pathways near Daly Fields, and we started to advocate for underpasses. And we researched historic underpasses. We're looking here at the rendering by Arthur Shercliffe, the landscape architect who did the Esplanade. And in front of MIT, he had a path that would go underneath the bridge, not for the cars, but for the pedestrians. So this is the vision we're trying to implement as part of the restoration of these bridges. Here is the River Street with the hotel on the left and the traffic coming from the turnpike into Cambridge. A lot of traffic, very hard for pedestrians to get across. So this is the way people fight now with the traffic. It's quite a challenge. And this is the way it looks now, the path, a very narrow path as you approach the bridge. So we are suggesting to put an underpass, or really a passageway that would go at level through the bridge. Then you wouldn't have to go up and fight the traffic. You could just stay level, and that is the way it would look like, that you could just go through the bridge. At the Anderson Memorial Bridge, where restoration has already started, we propose something that is more in the style of the bridge, and we continue to look at various renderings. And we are happy to report that Mass DOT originally, they thought, oh, this cannot be done, this is impossible. But they did look at it, and they saw that it can be done, and they moved the utilities so that once these underpasses are put in, one doesn't have to start closing the bridges again. So it is possible to add those underpasses, and we continue to advocate to make that happen. Some people say, oh, an underpass or passageway would be a dark and unfriendly place. Well, it doesn't have to be, as this rendering by John Powell indicates. So we're looking at ways to make these underpasses happen. But it also happens that these underpasses are on the Dr. Paul Dudley White pathway, which is an amazing resource along the river. And we would like to see these pathways connected by not having the bridges that cut through them. And so we created this map of the Dr. Paul Dudley bike path, starting at the Craigie Bridge at the Museum of Science. and all the way to the Arsenal Bridge is really an 8-mile uninterrupted stretch if we create those underpasses at the River Street, Western Avenue and Anderson Bridge, because all the other bridges already have underpasses. So imagine if you could bike along this stretch, and there are actually over 20 hubway stations within 2 blocks of the river. So this is the perfect location to have such a path. Here you see the hubway stations all along the river, and it's so heavily used, a wonderful success story that we owe to Mayor Menino and Nicole Friedman, who brought us this wonderful system, and in Cambridge, Cara Seiderman got it installed. We are moving now downriver. We are up in the air looking down onto an area called the New Basin, and we have the Zaken Bridge, and it is underneath this loop that is the new park called the North Point Park. We see the Museum of the Science on the left, and then we have on the extreme right is the Washington Street Bridge, the dam, the Zaken Bridge, the Leverett Circle overpass, and all these green lands are part of the New Basin Parklands, part of the mitigation for the Big Dig, and that's where the skate park is going to be. So when the plan came up to create a skate park, which really was born with Nancy Schoen wanting a skate park, we gathered youngsters, skaters who wanted to help us design a skate park. We had many meetings at the Boston Public Library, gathered over 400 skaters at various meetings, and they told us how they would like to see that skate park. We have now a concept to put this skate park underneath the ramp that leads to the Zaken Bridge. It's next to the railroad tracks. You might have passed by there on a duck tour. And here is how the skate park is going to look like. It will have bowls, which are like empty swimming pools, from shallow ones to very deep ones of 11 feet deep. It will have stairs and railings. The skaters call those streetscape elements. And then there's seating around the skate park to watch, because it's a lot of fun to watch skaters do that. And the Conservancy raised $2.5 million. We're very grateful to a challenge grant from the Lynch Family Foundation. And we have here the Lynches on the left, Mayor Menino, City Councillor and State Representative Tim Toomey, and also then at the time Mr. Reeves was the Mayor of Cambridge. And the City of Cambridge has contributed $200,000 for the skate park. So this is how the skate park will look like when it's finished, and we're hoping to break ground soon. We got the permission from the Cambridge Conservation Commission in June, and we are working on the 100% plan. You might also have seen this building going up, the EF building, which the skate park is immediately to the right of this building, and it will have a wonderful waterfront restaurant that will be able to be used by skateboarders as well as people who come and watch the skate park. And if you haven't been in this neighborhood recently, it's a wonderful place to explore. You take the new pedestrian bridge, it's called the North Bank Bridge. It goes over where the duck tours go into the water, it goes over the railroad track, and then it dips down underneath the Zaken Bridge, which underneath is just as beautiful as it is from above. Very grateful to Miguel Rosales for all the work he did on this bridge, designing it and also illuminating it. And then you come underneath the bridge, which will be a space for great civic events, being for skateboarding or for concerts, for other events. Go and explore that and stay until it gets dark, and you will see those illuminations, those colorful towers that Ross Miller has created, and that bring true magic to this space. So that gives you a very brief overview view of what the Conservancy does. And we want you to be part of this effort, and you can do that as a volunteer, or you might want to sign up for a swim in the future. You might come and participate on the Sunday games, or bring your yoga mat and enjoy. Or you will probably go and see the skateboarders as they perform their tricks. So if you would like to find out more about the Conservancy, I've been doing this show for quite a while, and I think there are probably well over 100 shows that are currently on the YouTube. Here is one with an interview with our state rep Marty Walls, who represented both the Back Bay and Cambridge. Unfortunately, she's no longer on the state in the State House. She's now with Planned Parenthood, and she was a big friend of the Conservancy, of the Underpasses, of swimming, and we hope that her successor, Jay Livingstone, will step in and be as much an advocate for the Charles River as Marty Walls was. Actually, the new state rep, he jumped in on July the 13th and is already a strong supporter. So that is wonderful. So you can find YouTubes about various subjects, about River Sing. I have several about River Sing. There are shows with former Secretary of Transportation Fred Salvucci talking about the underpasses, about our volunteer programs, what the Northeastern students do to make the Parklands better. They created several staircases near the Elliott Bridge. They did another one near the Watertown Yacht Club, and now they're building raised gardens in collaboration with the Perkins School for the Blind, with plants that have particularly that you can smell. So these are all projects that I hope you will explore and you participate. You can become a member of the Conservancy. We depend about a third of our funding comes from individuals like you. They come from corporations, and a third from foundations. We get very little money from the public sector. We are lucky to have gotten some from Cambridge for the skate park, and also from the state and the BRA for the skate park. But even with the skate park, the bulk comes from individuals, foundations, and corporations. So I want to invite you to become part of this effort to make the Parklands more active, more attractive, and accessible. You might have a story to tell. You can find on our website River Stories, which is a publication of stories that people tell about the river. We are very fortunate to have this river in Cambridge, and find it for running, find it for biking, swimming in the future, or just sit on the shores and enjoy it. So I appreciate that I was able to speak to you, and thank you for watching. And the next image will show you a way you can get in touch with us, find more information on the website, which has a lot of information also about the master plan, our work with the DCR. It is the DCR, the Department of Conservation and Recreation, the state agency that owns all these parklands and maintains them, and we work closely with them to make that happen. So thank you again, and I hope to see you on another occasion.